Good evening, doctors. I'm Dr. Prajakta Wangikar, Medical Advisor from Cipla Urology. A very warm welcome to all of you on this platform of Uro Update Live webcast. The topic for today's discussion will be Super Perk, What, When and Why Semi-Live Workshop. I'm glad to introduce our honorable speaker, Dr. Kaushik Shah, who is renowned consultant urologist based out of Surat. He practices at Varun Hospital and is also associated with other hospitals like Maitreya, Mahavir, United Green Hospital, and BAPS Hospital. His expertise include all endourology procedures for prostate and stones like TUR, URS, PCNL, RIRS, and reconstructive surgeries. His biggest contribution in the field of endourology is the introduction of latest technique in PCNL, that is Super Perk, for which he also holds a patent. He has conducted many live operative demonstrations on Super Perk at national as well as international forum, presented papers and posters on the same, and gave lectures on various aspects of PCNL. In today's discussion, Dr. Kaushik Shah will give you a brief on different approaches of PCNL, followed by details of Super Perk technique, including its case-based utility and why it is superior over other techniques. Today, we are fortunate to have the befitting expert to take us through this technology-driven topic, which I'm sure will help enhance the skills of all practitioners. Over to you, sir.
Yes. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I thank the Cipla for giving this wonderful opportunity and a platform to share the views on Super Perk. At this present, everyone is free and very eager to learn something new, which in a normal BG course they were not able to catch up. So I welcome all of you. And today, we are locked down for another few days up to 3rd May. So let us utilize this time for discussing Super Perk. During the presentation, there would be questions. If there is any questions, you write immediately on the link that is available, so that I'll answer all the questions at the end of my presentation. Plus, if you want to repeat a certain presentation or a slide for your better understanding, just let me know that this is a part of presentation you want to rehear or get a clarification. So both the systems are available. So whenever there is a question, you keep sharing those questions on the link which has been provided. So let's start the first slide. All throughout in India and developing countries, we are just following what has been developed in the Western countries or other part of the world. So practically we never know how hard they have done to create a new chapter. And that realization came when I was attending a Segura International Urolithiasis course at Nadiad. It was wonderfully organized by MPH. Dr. Mahesh has done a tremendous work to do that. And at that time, he inspired me that all of you must contribute something in the pool of knowledge. So while returning, I realized that let me do something of my own, though I am in a small private setup, and the journey began. So he is a person who is my friend, philosopher, guide, and lot more. He has always supported me in all the activities throughout these years. In fact, I learned PCNL and got a complete confidence when I attended a course in 1994. Before that, I was saying that this is a bloody operation, but he showed excellent, and the journey started in PCNL. So when we want to remove the stone, the basic aim of the stone removal is a complete stone clearance, preferably in one go. It should be associated with minimal morbidity, and of course, it should be cost effective. The 3 methods that has come up is ESWL, RIRS, and PCNL. Unfortunately, ESWL, though has created a very good hope, is not able to measure the expectation of the population, and the complete stone clearance in one go is not possible. But it is having a minimal morbidity and it is cost effective. RIRS, yes, complete clearance is possible, but it may not be in a one go. It has a minimal morbidity, but the cost effectiveness is not there to large population in the country. The PCNL, it is possible to have a complete stone clearance but there is significant morbidity if not done well, but it is very cost effective. So the world over, the new advances was coming in PCNL. Primary focus was how to reduce the morbidity of PCNL. So advances were in two major areas. One is miniaturization of the track, because we realized that it is a track size that matters in bleeding complications. So we tried to go as low as feasible, and that was possible because the advances in laser lithotripsy and advance in the optics. So MicroPuck has come from Nadiad, UMP has come from Dr. Janak Bhai at Ahmedabad, Minipuck Access store started, and the Minipuck was already there. Now, the second area where was the strategy to remove the fragments. Once you broke the stone, it's not the end of the story. What is more important is the ease, speed, safety, and effectiveness of the method to remove the stone. So, Dr. Janak Bhai developed UMP, and the effect was the whirlpool effect. In Minipuck, we utilize the vacuum cleaner effect. And suction outside the nephroscope is possible with the SuperPuck and SMP, and suction via nephroscope. There are two big companies that has come up, shock pulse lithotripsy and image triology, but for that the track size has to be bigger. So when you are starting a PCNL, you need to prepare well. Otherwise, what happens that you go ahead and then you realize that the preparation was not proper. So evaluate whether the OT is adequate with all the required instruments. And when we are starting, suppose I am doing PCNL for a number of years, but when I need to go to a new hospital, it is for the first time, and that is true for a large number of people who are moving around from one place to another. So, particularly true for me when we are going for an operative demonstrations. And so when we are starting de novo or starting for the first time in a separate center, you need to prepare your OT for the worst case scenario. The most important is informed consent in the era of Consumer Protection Act. The low threshold for staging is very important. The best part of PCNL is that when you have a problem, if you put a nephrostomy and come out, majority of the problems are solved, except very severe bleeding where you need to embolization. Otherwise, rest of the problems can easily be managed just merely by staging. So you should always have a backup mind and inform the patient that you may need a staging. In fact, the PCNL started as a stage procedure. You should have access to blood transfusion plus expert help. If suppose I am doing something new, I should tell my colleagues who is expert that when I am doing, you be around, and if I call you, you come and support me. And almost always I have noticed that the senior radiologists are ready to give all the supports. And of course, you should have a support of ICU because you don't know what things may go wrong. Of course, rarely you need an international radiology facility. This is very important. The day before, you rehearse with your OT staff what they are supposed to do and train them. That would make the procedure much easier. So you need an adequate size OT. Now talking about the CM image intensity, it should be 9-inch high frequency. Now the collimation and say 4-inch, 6-inch, 9-inch, it should not be at the image intensifier position. It should be at the X-ray tube, because if it is collimation is at the X-ray tube, the rest of the area are not exposed. Otherwise, what happens that you are collimated to 4-inch, but other area are getting exposure. Your hands are getting only thing you are not able to see on the CM on the image intensifier. So always prefer collimation at the X-ray tube. OT table should have a radiolucent tabletop. It should be the eccentric base, and the sidebar should have a minimal thickness. Recently, when I was new OT has started at another hospital, we realized the sidebar of the OT was very big, and therefore we had to say we cannot do PCNL on this table. We need to have another table. So be clear about this table. Good anesthesia trolley, endovision trolley, and the endoscopes. Nowadays, lot of stones are less than 2.5 centimeter, and majority of the stones can be taken care of by 12 French nephroscope, either from Stowe, Wolf, Olympus. Of course, the slender nephroscope 18 to 20 size from Wolf and the Stowe are also very useful. Many have a standard nephroscope of 24. If they want to reduce the track size, it is not possible. So I recommend those who have a big nephroscope to invest in a small nephroscope, either the Minipuck or a slender, or preferably in both. If you have adequate resources, volume of work, you may go for flexible nephroscope. I don't have it, I don't use it. And when you are combining PCNL with an RIRS, it is a trend that is going on. You should have a flexible ureteroscope and the pneumatic and laser. So this is all setup you need. The software is ureteric catheter, good puncture needle, guide wires, dilators, sheath, forceps, basket, digestion, and nephrostomy tubes. This I have already discussed before. Now, when we take up a patient who has come in the OPD, we ask for certain imaging investigations. That is basically to plan the PCNL. Okay. What exactly we want to do in surgery. So it's a KUB, confirm the stone, sonography, and if there is a previous history of bleeding or previous you are suspected that the bleeding may come, you get a color Doppler sonography done to know whether there is abnormal malformation, AV malformation, fistula, whatever is there, you will be able to. And if there are major vessels in an area of interest, suppose if you want to puncture a posterior calyx, lower posterior calyx, and there is a big vessel, so you avoid those areas. So in that way, color Doppler is very important. CT-QB is enough in large majority, but for the functional evaluation, CT urography is the best investigation of choice. When we are evaluating this test, what is important is that these are the answers you need to get from these questions. So confirm that there is a stone, confirm what are the stone characteristics, whether it is a hard stone, whether it is a soft stone, whether it is grand stone, on matrix stones, whether it is infected stones. So all characteristics of stones you can gather from this information. Understand the renal anatomy, because that is the most important part. If you have to enter the kidney, you need to know which is a safe area to reach the kidney, and therefore decide which calyx to puncture. And you should have a plan, suppose plan A, plan B, or plan C. So I like to go from this calyx. If there is a problem, I'll go from another calyx. If there is a problem, I'll go another calyx. So that should, some idea you should have when we are evaluating this thing. And in a difficult circumstances, in a solitary kidney, pre-operatively, when it is repeated surgeries that is going on that kidney, it is important to know the vasculature. It is true for ectopic kidney, malrotated kidney. So vasculature is also important. And also find out what are the organs that may come in a way, whether it is the liver, spleen, colon, or pleura, or any other organ that may come. So if you evaluate this completely, then the chance of success are very high. Now, coming to the most important part, that decide the best calyx to puncture. Which is the best calyx to puncture? It's always a posterior calyx in a prone position. The infundibulum should have a wide neck, because that would decide which tract size is possible. If it is a narrow neck, the tract size has to be small, otherwise you will tear the infundibulum, neck of the infundibulum, and there are vessels by the side of the neck, and there is a significant bleeding. So the neck of the infundibulum is important, and it should be short. If it is a very long infundibulum, the maneuverability to go into the renal palace becomes difficult. So better calyx is a short length, wide neck infundibulum, and that calyx should be able to remove maximum stone burden. It should be approachable in such a way that you will be able to take out all the stones or the maximum size, particularly in a stegon stones. And it should be easy to reach the target area. Suppose the lower calyx is good there, but if you want to reach the upper ureter, it is not a proper, because it is a you need a lot of angulation. So what is important is that you also decide which is the target area. Upper ureter, you have to go from middle or upper calyx. If it is an upper calyx, you either directly hit that calyx or you go from lower calyx so that you can enter the upper calyx. So this, once you decide which is the best calyx, now the important part is that on table, identify the same calyx on the operation table, and identify the same calyx in different positions of the CM. So far in my life, after initial phase was over, I had failed 3-4 times, and all the time I realized that I was hitting a different calyx in different positions. In a 0 degree, I was targeting something different calyx, and in 30 degree, I was targeting something, and I was not able to make a proper puncture. So if there is any problem in puncture, you identify whether you are targeting the same calyx, identifying same calyx in different positions. And if you do this much, the whole operation can be very much. Surgical training and training on simulators can make you expert if you are able to find out the target in both the planes. So once you've decided that this is the calyx, this is the area. So what is the skin site? What is the skin site? Skin site is decided by the stone position, the renal anatomy, area of interest, and anatomy of the surrounding organs. But the track size is decided by the stone characteristic, stone size. Suppose if there is a stegon stone, you cannot do a micropoke. If it is a very big, very small stone, it's not advisable to go for a 30 French track. So this is a stone size and its characteristic is important. Then another important thing is the size of the neck of the infundibulum and the expertise. If you are very expert, you can go for a UMP or a micropoke for a small stone. But if you don't have an expertise, you have to go for a standard poke. And of course, the facility should be available. Even if you know how to do a good minipoke, if you don't have an nephroscope or a minipoke nephro, you cannot do it. So the size is decided by all these factors. So what are the steps in standard PCNL? First is doing cystoscopy and putting a ureteric catheter. I recommend to put it under CM, then do a puncture, then dilatation either on a guide wire or a guide rod or a Cobra catheter. Then you place a renal sheath, then do a nephroscopy, then do a stone breaking either with a pneumatic or laser or any other energy. Then remove the fragments, then you come out. Either leaving a ureteric catheter, double J stent or nephro. So these are the standard steps in all forms of PCNL. Now there are different techniques of PCNL, but basic remains same. So what I will rate now is that how the particular technique is different at which step. So let's come to the micropoke. So in micropoke, the cystoscopy in ureteric catheter, you should use a multi-hole large ureteric catheter because the fragments and fluids are going to drain down the ureter. The fragments are not going to come from the side of the sheath, and therefore you should have a multi-hole catheter, large ureteric catheter. Then puncture. Puncture is done by all-seeing needle. This needle you can put an endoscope and you can see while you are puncturing. Either you can do sonography guided or you can do under vision. So this is an all-seeing needle. Now when it comes to dilatation, the best part of micropoke is that the initial puncture needle itself works as a sheath. You attach a three-way connector, and from one you put an endoscope, from another you put a laser, and from third you can put a irrigation. So you can complete the procedure with 4.8 French sheath. But if you want a bigger size, you can dilate and put 8 or 10 French minipoke like this. And in that circumstance, it may be possible that you can use a pneumatic lithotripsy and a telescope because it is a flexible. It can go from the side of this channel and the irrigation. So the straight channel is possible because the telescope is very flexible. Now, if it is a 4.5, you have to use a laser, and plan is dusting. Don't make a fragment which is bigger in size. So the dusting is a stone breaking strategy, and the fragments will go down the ureter. You don't need to bother because you have a dusting and you have kept a small big catheter. Plus the stone burden is low. So it is something like a lithotripsy or an RIRS where the fragmentation is complete. It is cost effective and there is a minimum morbidity. So all the three aims of surgery, the completeness of the procedure, the safety of the procedure or the morbidity, and in a one sitting with a minimal cost is possible with a micropoke for a small stone size. And exit surgery, you can put a double J stent or you can completely do a tubeless. So this is micropoke. Now coming to the UMP. It's again developed in Gujarat. The cystoscopy and ureteric catheterization, like a simple ureteric catheter, puncture is same in all the techniques. Dilatation, it is usually a two-step dilatation over a guide wire. Put 8 French screw dilator or a 12 French Teflon dilator, and then put a dedicated dilator over which you can put a sheath. So it is a two-step dilatation, and the UMP sheath, which is like this, it is a cross-sectional area. There is a small tube here from which the fluid can be pushed. So this type of sheath is a UMP sheath. So it is 11 French and 13 French of an outer diameter, and then you can put a nephroscope. So the nephroscope is, this is a 3 French or a 1 millimeter nephroscope, and it can go through a sheath, inner sheath, which is 6 French or an 7.5 French, and from this sheath, from here the endoscope goes, from here the laser fiber goes, and from here the fluid goes. The irrigation is excellent because it's only 3 French telescope, and a very thin fiber is going, and therefore it is possible to do with this thing. And the stone breaking is laser. What Dr. Desai recommends that you don't need to dust the stone. You can make a fragment of 2-3 millimeters, 2 millimeter, and all will come by the side of when we are using this whirlpool effect. When we push the fluid from side, the fragment comes by the side of the sheath, and it is an excellent method to take out the fragments. So the most important part of UMP is a whirlpool effect, and you can put a double stent or a tubeless. So this is what is in UMP. I am just summarizing what are the different techniques. Now the mini POC. Again, cystoscopy, do ureteric catheterization, same, puncture is same. Dilatation, either it is 2-step, initial dilatation and then final dilatation, 15, 18, 21.5, whatever way you want. You can put a double extra safety guide one, and then do a nephroscopy. Now, previously there was only mini POC M's, 12 French. Now they have come up with a smaller nephroscope also and bigger nephroscope also, and a corresponding size. Previously this was available. Now they have changed the design of the sheet. So you can use any nephroscope which you want and start breaking the stone either with a pneumatic or a laser. And the fragment removal is by vacuum cleaner effect. They say that when the fluid is going and when you withdraw, that fluid, the front part creates an effect for vacuum cleaner, and the fragment is coming out when the nephroscope is withdrawn. That is a vacuum cleaner effect, and the exit strategy is depending upon the case scenario. So this is the mini POC. So now let's find out what are the problems and how we started solving those problems. So the first problem that majority of the people in initial phase encounter is a perfect puncture. Multiple ureteric catheter, I'll tell you later how it can help in deciding this puncture, helping. And if you have a simulator, if you practice, you will be able to do better job when you are doing actually on the patients. And this 5-bank system helps in secured track. It gives a very good dilatation, and the chances, the best part of the 5-bank system is that the guide wire is never left unsecured. There is always some metal tube in the guide wire by the side of the guide wire through which it is going, and therefore the track is secured. It will not slip out. Even if it slips out, you can always put it. So this is very useful for those who want to start in initial phases. Then the stone fragmentation, the Super POC technique is solving the problem of fragmentation and the fragment removals. So existing system and the instruments used are standard PCNL, to summarize, mini PCNL, UMP and micro PCNL. Micro PCNL is good for stone up to 1.5 centimeter low calycha or diverticular stones. UMP is good for 2.5 also. Mini PCNL is good for all stone size if you have a very good method of removing the stone. And the standard PCNL is for large stones. But the development of Super POC is not restricted to track size. Here you can see that it is related to track size. Super POC is not related to track size. And it is effective solution for small to Stragon stones, and it can be used with any of the energy devices. So now I'll discuss about the Super POC. If you notice, in micro POC there is no suction. In mini POC there is no suction. The fragment are coming by overflow or grasper. Here is by dusting. Here is by dusting and whirlpool effect. Here you pick up. So the suction is missing, and it is one of the very important aspects of PCNL when PCNL started with ultrasonic lithotripsy with inbuilt suction. But because ultrasonic lithotripsy was not effective, again the suction was lost. I'll come to the main topic is super puff. I have narrated the background information. Now I am coming to the actual super puff technique. By the way, to all the audience, dear friends, when you are watching, if you come across any questions that has come up in your mind, please share on a link which is provided along with the, your presentation. And if you want a particular slide to be reviewed, if you have any questions, you write down the slide number so that I can read on that slide and discuss again that aspect. So these two features are there. Ask any questions, and if you want to repeat certain part of the presentation, you remember the slide number and share in the question. So what is a super puff? It's a unique upgradation of PCNL, slender PCNL, mini puff, micro puff, or ultra mini puff. So it is helping all forms of newer techniques of PCNL. So you can say that it is a PCNL or a puff with a suction, irrespective of size of the thread. Like all upgradation and techniques or revolution, it has its own flaws and merits. Before we go into that, let's quickly review what is super puff system. So when we were developing super puff system, we realized that these are the problems we are facing during the PCNL, how we can solve in this newer development. The few of the problems was a complete difficulty in complete PCS, particularly in Stegon stones. If the tip of the ureteric catheter is in a particular calyx, the rest of the calyxes are difficult to be visualized, and if you put a lot of fluid, then it would overflow by the side of the calyx, and then it goes into the pelvis, and then it enters into the calyx. So these were the problem with the big stones. Then this was another big problem. All the water used to come by the side of the nephroscope through the ampulla sheath, and the whole OT was being soaked. Plus, when there is a bleeding, we want to increase the pressure, and there is a increased intrarenal pressure, and particularly when we increase the renal irrigation pressure in presence of bleeding, already a vessel which is open, and high irrigation will lead to more intravasation and absorption of fluid. So this was one of the problems. Then when we are breaking the stone, there were a lot of dust, and there was no way to remove those dust continuously except force of irrigation. And then for fragments, we just have to put a forceps, take it out, go in again, take it out, go in, take it out. So if there are 10 fragments, you have to go in 10 times. So this was another problem. Plus, when we are breaking the stone, it might go down the ureter, or it might go down into the other area. Residual stone fragments and dust. Difficulty in doing the stone or Stegon stone with mini PCL. There was a difficulty in collection of the stone fragment. Ultimately, patient wants the stones to be seen, and then someone has to keep a tray so that whatever is coming from the ampulla sheath, they pick up and then they show. So this was another difficulty, and the time was longer. So we tried to answer all problems. So this is a system setup of a super puff. The first change was here. It is a multi-hole ureteric catheter. There are multiple holes. I'll discuss later. The another change was a sheath. And this is the renal sheath. Plus it has an air opening. And this is attached to a suction tube. There is a stone catheter bottle, and from here the fluid is going into the suction bottle. So when the suction is on continuously, what happens that this air will be sucked, and it will go from here, and very minimal pressure is transmitted, suction pressure is transmitted in the system. There is always some pressure going on, suction pressure. So there is always a low suction, and when you want to increase the suction pressure, you just close the finger. Depending upon the pressure, you can completely close, you can partially close. So whatever the suction pressure is transmitted in the system. So this is the main mechanism of a super puff short sheath. And then all the fragments are being collected in a small stone catheter bottle, and the fluid is going into the suction. So I'll discuss all four in a detail. Now, this is a nephroscope. Any nephroscope, there is an irrigation, and then you can use a laser fiber or a pneumatic. So this is a complete system. So what you need to do is change the ureteric catheter. This now the beauty is here. Now you can use 12 French, 15 French, 18 French, 21 and 24. So for large second stone you can use 24 French. For small stone you can use 12 French. So perfect thing is available. So what we did in ureteric catheter is that we have redesigned this ureteric catheter by adding a hole in the first 10 centimeter. So the fluid is going from all the holes when we are injecting from below. So when the tip, this is the main feature. Now how it helps? If you put this ureteric catheter under CM and the tip of the ureteric catheter is in the apocalyx, when you inject the fluid or contrast, it fills the upper calyx, some opening will fill the renal calyx, some opening will fill the lower calyx, some opening will fill the ureter. So you can completely visualize the whole system. If you inject the air, it will selectively fill up the posterior calyx in a prone position. You can empty also all the system. So this multi-hole is very good in visualization of the system. Now the second part is a retrograde irrigation. When we are using a suction, if we push the fluid from below, the system is never empty, and therefore the renal pelvic mucosa will not be sucked without vision. And at the end of a procedure, if you leave, this works exactly like a double J stand, and the other end is outside, so you can keep it for a few hours or up to 24 hours, and it can drain. So large number of patients do not need a double J stent or a nephrostomy. If you put a double J stent from above, you cannot use a double J stent with a thread. So it adds to a second procedure of doing a cystoscopy and removal of the stent. So this ureteric catheter is an excellent method of exit strategy. Now coming to the sheath. There is a dedicated metal dilator for each size, and this is a sheath. Now the sheath has an air opening here. This is called suction control opening. Here we attach a suction tube, and this connector will make the system airtight. Because if you close this, here is a suction machine tube going, so nothing will go, and when the telescope is inside, the cap will seal the system, and therefore all the suction pressure which is coming from here, they will suck the fluid from here. So this is a Shaw sheath with suction. These are the features. And so when you want to put this sheath, I'll explain you later how to put a sheath. 12 and 15 French will go on a guide wire. 18, 21 and 24 will go on a guide rod. So when you are placing a sheath, you can use this sheath instead of a conventional employer sheath. I'll explain you how it can help in detail later. Now this is a suction bottle, stone catheter. This is a bigger opening. So the tube which is coming from the sheath comes here. So there will not be any blockage of the tube by stone fragments. So it is purposely kept a very big opening here, and it's a small opening. So all the fragments will fall here, and the water will go to the suction machine. Fragment would be here. This is very important if the fragment size is big. So this is to be interposed between, and always keep it ready. This goes to the suction machine, and you attach one suction tube here, so that whenever you want to attach to the sheath, you can immediately attach and the system is ready. This is another very important feature. This is a low power suction machine. You can change the knob and it would go increase or decrease. Now this bottle has a tap. So when you open the tap, the bottle empties. You don't need to dismantle here. You just open the tap and the fluid will empty. I'll show you in a picture on an operating room system. And this is attached to a bottle, and other part is attached to the sheath. So now coming to the system, I have discussed all 4 different things which are required. All of them, all 4 are very cheap and easily available. You don't need any extra setup. So let's come to how to use 12 French sheath. To do initial puncture, either ultrasound guidance or a fluoro guidance or all single, whichever way you want, you can put. And then after putting a guide wire, this is the initial layer. Either you can use a Teflon dilator You can use a screw dilator. You can use an alkene dilator with a cannula. This is very useful if you want to put a second guide wire as a safety guide wire. My always preference is that if you want to keep a safety guide wire, it should always be outside the sheath, not inside the sheath. And this is the 12 French. So when you are using 12 French, you can directly use any of these things and then put a sheath directly. So in one dilatation, one step dilatation will be you are in. And the nephroscope which you are using is, see, this is 4.5, 6.5 short ureteroscope. It can easily go because the shaft diameter is around 9 French. So it can easily go. It is a straight channel. You can use a biprong forceps, you can use a triprong forceps, you can use a pneumatic, you can use a laser, and this is one of the most versatile instrument I have come across. So you can use short ureteroscope, or you can use an UMP nephroscope with 6.6 or 7.5 inner sheath. You can use micropuck telescope. You can use a minipuck SX telescope through this. So all different types of telescopes are possible to be used with a 12 French track. Coming to the 15 French track, after putting a guide wire and initial dilatation or directly depending upon your expertise and your preference, you put a dilator. This is 15 French. Over this dilator, the sheath goes, and then use a nephroscope, attach an irrigation from here, and use a pneumatic or a laser from this. Olympus, Wolf, Stone, all of them, and many other companies have a very good minipuck nephroscope. You can choose whatever nephroscope. If you don't have this, and if you want to do this, you can use a short, long ureteroscope. You will have to stand slightly away, but you will be able to do a PCNL to a small track size 50. You can use 18. Now, if you want to use an 18, then you have to use a guide rod. So, after putting initial dilatation with this, put a guide rod, and over a guide rod put an 18 French dilator, and then, so this is a part of the system. This is a part of the system. When you buy a sheath, this is also available. So you don't need to buy separately. So this dilator you put a 18 French. The advantage of 18 French sheath is, or even 21 French, is that the minipuck nephroscope occupies very small space. So there is a very large space by the side of the nephroscope which can work as a suction and channel, and very large fragments and the dust and everything can be sucked out. Even the bigger fragment as big as 5.5 millimeter or 15 French fragments can also be sucked out. Now, if you want to use a slender nephroscope or a minipuck for bigger stone, you can use 21 French. Again, put on a guide rod, and this is what is required to put it. And you can use Wolf nephroscope or a Storz nephroscope or any other nephroscope which is 18 or 19 French, so that it can go through this. And bigger nephroscope, you need to use a 24 French. So for all practical purposes, all the Stegon stones can be managed with a 24 French sheath, and any additional track can be 18 French, 15 French, 12 French, depending upon the size of the stone and the purpose. So the SuperPuck system, coming to the previous slide like this, while doing ureteric catheterization, either you put a simple ureteric catheter or a multi-hole ureteric catheter. What is noticed when people are using multi-hole ureteric catheter, that if they are not put under CM and if it is not in the upper calyx, you will have a lot of problem. Because if the ureteric catheter goes down just below the UPJ, whatever the fluid or contrast you put it will not enter the PC system, it will be drained in the ureter. So always ensure that when you use a multi-hole ureteric catheter, put it under CM and put the tip in the calyx, upper calyx. Otherwise, use a simple ureteric catheter. If you are using multi-hole ureteric catheter, another problem which is faced by many, that it drains very fast. So if you put a contrast or a fluid, and immediately you see after doing this that the system has collapsed because it is draining very powerfully. So when you are facing this problem with multi-hole ureteric catheter, if you are doing a sonography, you can continuously allow the fluid to go in because it is not a contract, it is saline and it can distend very well, and all the part of the system will be distended. If you are using fluoroscopy guided puncture, put few cc of air. So air will go into the posterior calyx, and the air will not drain out. The fluid will drain out, but air will not drain out. So whatever the air is there in the posterior calyx, to confirm that the air is in the posterior calyx, it may be in the anterior calyx also. So confirm that air is in the posterior calyx and it will not drain out, and complete the procedure. That's how you can start using multi-ureteric catheter. If you are not comfortable, you can use a simple ureteric catheter. Second is puncture. Either it can be ultrasound guided like any other patient, or fluid guided. It is your choice. Dilatation is also your choice on a guide wire or a guide rod. Now, depending upon the tract size you have decided from beginning, or as the demands occurs during the surgery, you can use 12 French, 15 French, 18 French, 21 French, or 24 French. Whatever you want, you can use that. You should have a complete set to utilize the full limb. And then nephroscopy will be done by a nephroscope of rod size, as discussed before. You can use a pneumatic, you can use a laser. In pneumatic, you can make a very small fragment, or you can make a fragment which is smaller than the sheet size and it can be sucked out. Laser, you can use either the fragmentation or a dusting mode. And practically, you don't need to use a forceps. Only occasionally you need to use a forceps. Hardly 5% of the stone fragments needs use of a forceps, or practically nothing. So low pressure suction is continuously going on. So the fragments which are smaller than the space by the side of the nephroscope will continuously come during the lithotripsy. Bigger fragments, you have to withdraw the nephroscope and activate the suction. So big fragments will come out. So this is the difference. So there are three differences. One is the multi-ureteric catheter, or this is replace the conventional sheet with a superpuck sheet and use a suction. And the exit strategy, as you do in any PCNL, you can use a ureteric catheter, you can put double J stent, you can put a nephrostomy. I am demonstrating purposely an upper ureteric stone. It was a dilated system, plus it was a congested system, and there were a lot of bleeding. So when the upper ureteric stones you are doing, it is important that you put the stone into the kidney and leave a large ureteric catheter. Otherwise, a stone will go down the ureter, and then it will be difficult to reach here. So I am now showing like exactly like I am doing surgery, and the whole video is recorded that way. And I'll stop in between like a semi-live workshop, and you can ask questions whenever you arise. So I'm starting this thing. I had done ureteric catheter and did a puncture. You can see that I had supported the needle gradually, and then I am pushing the guide wire inside, and it has remained the same. Now my left hand is always holding the guide wire, so it does not come out. And now this is a 15 French metal dilator. I am dilating, and it should be under fluoro guidance so that I am not doing a kink. See, I have to align in such a way that this dilator goes in. Do a rotatory movement, gentle, no, don't put a thrust, and always confirm that it is not kinking the guide wire. And when you are sure, now this is the posterior calyx. So you might feel that it has reached, but it may not have reached because it is a medial calyx. Now this is a guide rope. Now what we'll do for a 15 French, we'll put a. Now this reservoir, this is called reservoir, is helping to advance the sheet in a much better way, because you can hold it better. You can do a small rotatory movement and see. Here you can see that if the sheet is going beyond this, means it has reached. Right? Now, once you take out, the fluid will start coming. So, keep the guide wire in the system and attach a tube here now. It is already kept ready. So, you see, it is attached to a bigger opening, and then smaller opening is going to the suction bottle. It's going to the suction machine, right? It's going to the suction bottle. So this you should keep it ready, so that all you have to do is put a finger, and then whatever the fluid is coming from here would drain from here. It would save the spillage of water. And now we are doing a scopy. This exactly works like an employer's sheet, and we realize that we are not dilated. See, always it is better to under dilate rather than over dilate and creating a pelvic perforation. Now, gentle movement of the sheet with the support will say that yes, you are now in. The bevel type of sheet is better in such circumstances when it is an incomplete dilatation. But with an experience, you can always go in and find out, do an inspection. This is a stone, and then you find out the ureteric catheter, find out other small fragments which are there. Now, under vision, you take out a guide wire, because guide wire inside is not good. After completing the nephroscopy, confirm everything is proper position, you take out a guide wire. If you are not comfortable, leave a safety guide wire outside the sheet, but you should not keep a guide wire inside the sheet. Now, if you continue doing PCNL in this way, it is exactly like a mini pot. Now we have attached a connector, so now it becomes a closed system. So the nephroscope will see this. If you close this opening, and this is going to suction, so it becomes a completely closed chamber. Other end is open, and we can start sucking from inside. And small fragments can come out of its own just by using a suction. See, this fragment is coming out, and we had closed this. So this is the beauty, that you don't need to bother about holding a forceps, going in, coming out. Because it was a bigger fragment, it was not coming out, now it is gone out. Now I am using a laser which is thulium fiber laser, 1 watt and 15 frequency, or if you want to use this thing. Now this is a thulium fiber laser. It is a very powerful laser. You can use whatever laser you want, whatever pneumatic you want. It is always possible. Now the aim is not a dusting, aim is fragmentation, so that all the fragments can be sucked out later. Dusting takes time, fragmentation can be faster, and therefore we can reduce the nephroscopy time and the fragmentation time. So we continuously start breaking from the periphery and the center, so that the renal pelvic mucosa is not damaged. So we are pouring out the fragments. Where you put a laser fiber will decide the size of the fragment. So if you are putting at the edge, it would break the smaller fragments. If you put at a distance, it will make a bigger fragments. Because the part which is outside will tip off. So with a little patience, you can continuously break the stone, and all the fragments which are smaller than the size of space between the nephroscope and the sheet will be sucked out continuously, and the bigger fragments will remain inside. So when you want that the vision is not good, or when you want a suction, the assistant can put a finger here and the suction can be activated. Can you see? This is a place where we can increase the power of suction by closing this finger with the finger. So we just want to tell the assistant that close it if it is needed. See, there is no snowstorm effect. The dusting is not, even though the fragments are there, it is continuously cleared. The vision is clear, and the fragmentation speed is very good. And practically the vision is immediately clear. When you see that there are enough fragments in the system, it is better to stop and remove all those fragments which are already broken. See, the assistant is come and she has started putting a finger, and all the fragments which are smaller are being sucked out. Now at one moment we should stop fragmentation and concentrate on the fragment removal, because ultimately what you want is the fragment removal, not the fragmentation. So after adequate fragmentation, take out a laser guide fiber and start suction. But now this is being controlled by the surgeon. So can you see all the fragments are coming out without doing anything? He just withdraw the nephroscope and closing the opening. All the fragments are coming out. All small fragments are there, which are bigger is coming out, but smaller than the 15th range. We don't need to find out where the fragments are. The fragments are coming towards the ship because there is irrigation going on from below, retrograde irrigation, and the moment we take out the nephroscope, we stop the suction so that the mucosa is not sucked. Can you see number of fragments that are coming? Watch the finger here, how I am doing. There is enough space. Now when we want to go in ureter, we might have to push it further inside. So all the fragments are being sucked out. Because this was a obstructed system, it was significantly congested. And when we are sucking, the mucosa is collapsing, and therefore you are able to see flat blood. Now you notice what is happening here, that the fluid is continuously coming here in the bottle, and when the bottle is full, this is a low power suction machine, and the continuously fluid is going on, and in between the air is also going on. So air and fluid both are being sucked. Air will go out and the fluid will remain, and then open the tap. All the fluid that is collected here will drain out. You don't need to dismantle, and the procedure can continue to go on. And when this is emptied, you close it. So this is how you can use a suction. Now we have realized that almost all fragment has come out. Then we can restart doing fragmentation. Use a laser fiber or a pneumatic, whatever is your preferred choice, and then start breaking the stone. So what is happening here? We are orienting ourselves to what are the size of fragment that is remaining, and you see that almost all fragments are coming out of it. So we don't need to search for the stone. Stone is searching the sheath end. Now the laser fiber is going in. And now we are again fragmenting the stone. Now the trickiest part in upper ureter is that the fragment should not go down the ureter. And there is a continuous flow from here and pushing the fluid lower down. So be sure that you activate the suction slightly so that whatever the fragments are there is coming out, not going in. If required, you can stop the irrigation, and the irrigation coming from the ureteric catheter can be enough. You see, we are breaking the stone in a small size. It's not being dusted. Because we know that we can suck it out. The last part of the stone, shell of the stone is seen, and now it is broken into smaller fragments. We take care of the mucosa, otherwise you might be damaging the mucosa. So be very clear, use a minimal force, keep a distance so that. Now can you see the dilated ureter? And there are all possibility that the stone can go down. So here, assistant is always using a suction, and therefore the fluid is being sucked out and not going in. Now here the fluid is, you can reduce the fluid outflow, you can stop the irrigation. So we are sucking out the fragments which are in the ureter, and if you think that the flow is pushing the stone lower down, you can stop the irrigation. The irrigation from below is enough. Will you see? All fragments are coming. We don't need to search for the stone. Slight movement, and you have noticed that I had pushed the stone on the sheet right inside the upper ureter. Previously it was outside 2 centimeters, now I am reaching towards the stone. The most important part in using the sheet is that the sheet should reach the stone, near the stone. So this is how to and fro. Now you can see that I am not taking out the nephroscope completely outside. I am just keeping short of here so that I don't need to bother about. See, now I am stopping the irrigation from above. So I am, even then the vision is clear and the fragment is coming out. My finger is closing the suction, activating the suction. Now there are fragments. A slight gentle maneuver will allow the fragments to be separated from the ureteric, because this ureteric catheter may not allow the stone, so you just have to maneuver it slightly so that it is free from the ureteric catheter, and then it can come out. Beta क्या होती screen shaver. So I keep you. It's fun. So now we have stopped this irrigation. I'm repeating the slide. Suddenly, I think screensaver was on. So it is morning. Now this is a 14 centimeter. The limitation of this sheet that you cannot push this sheet inside more. And now this fragment is coming out. Just notice you can push it from below, stop the irrigation, and then this fragment will come up. So gradually the fragment is coming up from the ureter to the UP there, and then it is coming out. Can you see it has come into the upper ureter? And now with the suction, it is coming out. Now it is a large fragment. It is touching both the hands. So it has to be bigger than the 5 French. But slight orientation will help it to come out without using a forceps. So this way you clear out all the stones in the ureter. Practically we have not used a forceps at all. Then do an inspection of the surrounding area. All the calyces you should see. From nowhere the fragment is finding out the sheath end and it is coming out. Now I have started the irrigation again because I have no more in the ureter, and I had withdrawn the sheath outside, and now it is in the pelvis, and now I will see the different calyces. The anterior calyx, the apocalyx. This is a ureteric UPJ. Now I will see the anterior calyx. Practically no dust, no fragments. Even when there was some oozing, it was completely clear filled. So this final nephroscopy is very important. You try to find out, try to enter each calyx and maneuver the way you are doing in scanner maneuver, do a complete nephroscopy, confirm that endoscopically there are no stones. We have checked the ureter, and now I am coming out. Now the value of a fluoroscopy. Now under CM, we will see. This was the previous image. Now here we will see whether any fragment has gone down or lower down the ureter. Then we need to put a double stent. If there is no stone, you may have a choice of not putting a stent. Here, because the stone was impacted in the upper ureter, we have decided to put a double J stent. But after doing a complete evaluation of the whole ureter and the sheath, we took out the sheath after putting a double J stent. And this is all small hole, no bleeding, and you may not need any stitch at all, and complete the procedure. It is not necessary that you cannot use a dusting. You can use a dusting, whichever way you think is good for you. You can start dusting also, right? And you see that all the dust is coming out. When the fragment is coming out, but because the transverse diameter is more, it is not able to come out. So you can always use whatever technique you want, whether you want to dust, whether you want to fragment, whether you want a pneumatic or a laser, thulium fiber laser, chromium laser, low power, high power, whatever you want, you can use. Now another question that has come up was that it is alright, but can it be useful for a multi-track, multi-stage PCNL? Can it replace the Templar sheath in such type of PCNL? Because in India there is a large burden of the stone disease, and many say that it takes a lot of time and we do not want to do a small track size PCNL. So my answer is that I will demonstrate a case. See, this is a 26-year-old NRI came from USA for surgical treatment of stegon and deviated nasal septum. Pre-operatively revealed a stegon stone with a stricture urethra, and rest of the parameters are reasonably normal. This is the size of the stone. You can see that it was almost completely filled system. CT urography done. There are many calyces. Each calyces are different. The number of calyces were very high. So visual internal throbbing was done, and superpoke was done under spinal anesthesia, and a fan of spinal anesthesia because our anesthetic is very good, and therefore he manages everything under spinal anesthesia. And a 24 French sheet was placed as the first track in the posterior middle calyx by intracostal approach under fluoro guidance. I hardly use the sonography guidance, and the slender nephroscope, which is 17 French toe nephroscope, and the pneumatic lithotripsy was used. And 18 French sheet was used as a second track for an upper medial calyx by supracostal 12-rib approach. And here the nephroscope used was a 12 French Muniberg and pneumatic. Because there was, and the fragments were removed by the suction. Because of the large stone bulk, diffuse bleeding from the inflamed tribal tissue caused by long-standing impacted stone, staining was done. And when we measured the hemoglobin the next day, there was a loss of 3.5 gram hemoglobin. So it is important to state the procedure because there was a significant bleeding. Otherwise, there will not be any loss of hemoglobin like this much. Suction on demand controlled by the assistant as was discussed in the operative workshop. It was an assistant doing, and here I am doing. At the end of his second stage procedure, there are many fragments. There were 2 tubes, ureteric catheter, and lot of fragments were still inside. This is 18 French, this 12 French nephrostomy. This was a 24 French tract, and this. At the end of a second stage, we needed a 6th track, but complete clearance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 6 tracks were utilized for complete clearance, and the strategy was to remove as much as possible from the existing track, and then another 15 French track was made for upper middle posterior calyx, 15 for upper middle anterior calyx, 12 French for lower posterior calyx, 12 French for upper lateral calyx. Fortunately, there was no fall in hemoglobin, and there was a rise of 2 gram because we had transfused 2 bottles of blood. So this is the value of stating the procedure and using a small track. See these 4 tracks were 12 French or 15 French track, and we could achieve complete clearance, clear urine at the end of surgery, and only 1 nephrostomy or DVJ stent. This is the end result. big fragments can be collected. You don't need to collect the fragment, it comes automatically in the bottle. We have done number of cases. So indications of super perk is any patient that can be done by PCNL can be done by super perk. In fact, you can increase the size of stone removal with a smaller tract size because you are reducing the stone. We completed lower ureter and then upper ureter. So, and number of cases, almost practically lot of people, all those have used, exclusively use Superperk sheet for removing the stone. I am glad to share the video by Dr. Chandra Mohan.
Bilateral
This is the most important thing.
2-year-old with anorectal malformation, pectoral
Bilateral
abnormality.
PCNL.
He presented to us with already done ultrasound and IVP like this, bilateral hydronephrosis, functioning kidneys. CT scan shows bilateral stones of various sizes, multiple stones. Both kidney parenchyma is thick. So in this case, because RIRS is not suitable due to the large volume of the stone, he is already on ileostomy because of the failed anal surgery previously. We have put on both the sides ureteric catheters initially with ureteroscope. Both the sides ureteric, one kept long and another kept short for the identification. First right side PCNL is done, ultrasound is done, no hydronephrosis. So ultrasound has no role in puncturing, so RGP done. And dilatation is done up to 12 French. The 12 French mini-perc nephroscope is used here. The laser, holmium laser is used with around 12 watts, 10 and 1.2, 10 Hz and 1.2 joules. As soon as the fragment is broken, suction is applied because it is super perc access sheath, where the outer access sheath is connected to the suction. The advantage of this is it is very fast. And no need for the forceps. And all the stones can be collected in the suction. Through the suction tube, they are collected. And the right side stenting is done. And left side PCNL is attempted in the same setting. Ultrasound again showed no hydronephrosis, but stones are clearly seen. This time medication puncture is done. And same procedure where large stones were there this side. Same laser settings were used. On both the sides around 15 to 20 minutes time taken for clearance of the stone. Like this, they are coming into that cavity. This is truly advantageous in children where the pressure is not raised in the PCS and no need to. Here we have used 22.5 because the stone was bigger with 200 micron fiber. All the cases are inspected and then stent is placed. In this case, stent was not going easily. This is at the end of the procedure RGP. And over the thermoguide where stent is placed in this case. And children, the stent was big, around 16 centimeters also. So over the short length of the thermoguide wire, with difficulty stent is placed. It was not going easily 3.5 French. We usually use 3.4 French. So entire guide wire is pulled from below, so automatically stent has gone inside. Then the proximal part of the stent is folded back into the PCS, and patient did well in the post-operative period.
So the point is that you can do PCNL in a small child, big stones, bilateral, that emphasize the safety of the procedure.
Bilateral.
So what are the special features of a sheath? That there are all the benefits of employers type sheaths is available. The suction on demand is instantly available. Suction channel outside irrigation channel of the nephroscope, and therefore the nephroscopic irrigation is not hampered, and it can be controlled by either the surgeon or an assistant, and it's independent of the lithotripsy devices. The best part is the suction channel can never get blocked, and it's extremely lightweight and durable. You can always control the renal pelvic volume as per the need, and it's very effective in hydronephrotic system, and it's very useful when the large stone bulk is removed in a short time. So the advantage is complete visualization of PC system, clear field during fragmentation, no forceps required, reduces the fragmentation time, no dusting is required, bigger stone fragments can be removed. It reduces the stone migration rate, as you have noticed in both the cases. It increases the surgeon's comfort and reduces the nephroscopy time. This is the most important thing. And it increases the clearance rate and decreases the complication rate. And multi-hole ureter catheter may be enough as an exit strategy in majority of the patients. To summarize, Superpuff has a number of advantages over conventional PCNL without losing any advantage. One, need minimal momentum to start doing. It requires minimal learning curve. It's useful in all types of stones which are suitable for PCNL. It is a patented technology and used by more than hundreds of urologists across the world, and thousands of operations are already done by this technique so far. You can download the PCNL app. You can collect the data, whatever you want to collect the data, and therefore you can analyze those data. Conclusion: Superpuff is a new emerging technique of PCNL which needs evaluation from multiple centers across the world to find out a mature place and true place in managing the upper tract disease. I recently got a patent certificate. My patent was granted in US, and I got a certificate on 10th March 2020. Thank you. As I have mentioned, you can send me the questions, whatever are questions, and I'll answer questions one by one. The link is open. Anyone? Any questions? So what is the link for that patients? Hello? Is the same link or it's a different link? Pardon? webcastlive.co.in/C400 admin/question/page PHP. Am I right? I'll open that link. So now what I'm showing you. Question. So I think there are no questions. So I can summarize that you can use a PCR sheet by using this like any mini PCNL sheet or an implant sheet if you don't use a connector. The second way is that if you attach a tube, the fluid will not fall outside and all fluid will go into the chamber and there is no spillage of water. If you use with a connector, your in and out movement of the nephroscope is very easy. If you want to distend the system, close both the hand and therefore you will be able to distend the system. That is very useful in supine PCNL, and full system is available. Thank you very much. Any question? Yes, Puneet? Hello? Hello? Yeah. Okay, because I am not able to see those questions on the link. Okay. I'll do that. Yeah, so I'm opening that WhatsApp on a mobile, and I can open it on screen also. So, hello.
There are no new questions, sir.
How you send me questions? Can you send that link again? Okay. 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 I got that link. The phone number is 9920043039, right? Okay. There are 6 questions if I am not wrong. Okay. So the question, one of the question is how the mini perk and super perk are different. Which technique is better and why? See, mini perk is restricted to the size of the track. Super perk is not restricted to the size of the track. And second thing is that if you want to do something like super perk, you don't attach the suction, and then it is exactly less. So it's a value added advantage. With a super perk sheet, you can always do everything what you can do with a mini perk, plus you can use the suction whenever it's needed. So it's a value addition to the existing mini perk, right? So that's how it's different. In mini perk, it takes long time for fragments removal. Every time you have to take out the nephroscope, your multiple stones can come out very easily, right? What is the super perk success rate when compared to other technology? The success rate depends on the person who is doing, the type of cases they are doing. The advantage is that you can, with the same effort, you can achieve a better clearance rate, with a reduced complication rate, and by reduced complication and decrease nephroscopy time, you can take bigger stones with the same size of the track, and that is the most important advantage. Yes, does this technique makes overall process easier along with the success rate? Yes, it does make a process of, there is a significant ease of those who started using the mini perk, the super perk, and get accustomed to it. They are now addicted, and therefore during the last QCon, the word was conceptualize the addicting suction to a PCNL sheet. That was the topic of my title. So once you master the technique, it becomes a lot more easier to do a PCNL. No matter how many doctors are using this technique as of now. Number of people, the Usha Enterprise is a company which sells the sheet, and there are now more than 200 to 300 urologists across the world are using, and thousands of operations are being done. Now, whatever questions you have, you can ask. Okay, okay. I thank the See, during this process of development, it was a great support from Dr. Madhu, Dr. Arvind Panda, Dr. Ullas Sate, Dr. Anil, Dr. Sabnis, Dr. Mahesh Bhai. Everyone has supported me wholeheartedly and helped me to give the feedback, what is missing, what you can add, how you can make it better. And of course, the local urologist at Surat, Dr. Panimal, Dr. Dawal, lot of people have given me a lot of feedback, and that helped me to mature this technique. So I'm grateful to them. I'm grateful to Prajakta Ben, you, Puneet. Okay, yeah, I got this. Dr. Periya Swami Abraham, can you explain about the multi-hole ureteric catheter and how to use that? So when you are using a multi-hole ureteric catheter, what you should do is you should put on a guide wire under CM and see that it is put on upper calyx and confirm that it is in the upper calyx. That way, this is a way of using that. Once you put a ureteric catheter in this position, fix it where, when you are trying to do visualization of P16 for renal puncture, use 2-3 cc of air and rest of the contrast. So all the air would fill up the posterior calyx and the rest of the system is filled by the contrast. So you will come to know what are the posterior calyx, and those air will not come out. If you take some more time in doing a puncture, the air will still be there, and when you turn the CM from 0 to 30 degrees, the calyx which moves towards the spine and the posterior calyx. So if you have a doubt whether this calyx is posterior or this calyx is posterior, the calyx which moves away from you is a posterior calyx. So that's how it helps me to decide how to do a puncture, and this is a very important aspect which I had narrated before. See, this is so complete visualization of PC16 is there. When you are using a suction during lithotripsy, and especially when you are pulling out the nephroscope, you don't know what is happening at the other end. The renal pericardium might be sucked at that time. So when we are adding continuously retrograde irrigation, and what happens that it will not allow the renal mucosa to suck, and it would add to the safety of the procedure. Plus, it would push the stone. In the demonstration, I have shown that lot of fragments are coming towards the seat. I did not have to search for the stone. Stones were coming because of the push from below. And of course, at the end of a procedure, you can always leave a ureteric catheter for a day or two, and you don't need to bother about putting a stent. So I hope this was the question and I had answered that question. Second is, when did you do a second stage PERC? Second stage super PERC is usually done. It's like any other PCNL, multi-stage PCNL, but it's usually done after 2-3 days, so that the patient recovers the system and develops. If there is going to be a fever, you can come to know that there is no complication. You can give a blood transfusion. You may not be able to give multiple blood transfusions on the same day, so you space for 2 to 3 days and then go ahead in the second sitting. Dr. Rohit Upadhyay, do you use pressure irrigation? No, I don't need to use pressure irrigation at all, because whatever irrigation is going through the nephroscope is enough, because I am not using any forceps through that. I am not using a large pneumatic probe, and therefore there is adequate irrigation going. Plus, we can always add an irrigation from below. So that would help to push the fragment, and therefore I never use a pressure irrigation. Can we speak to Dr. Kaushik? Yes, you can always call me whenever we have time. Yes, can we have a longer sheaths in the obese patients? Yes, this is a very important, relevant question, because longer sheaths are required when you want to do a upper ureteric stone, when you want to do in obese patients, or when you are doing supine PCNL. The problem of longer sheath is that we don't have a longer nephroscope. We can always make whichever length you want, but the sheath is 14 centimeter, and the other part, this part, is another 6-7 centimeter. So 14 plus 7. So majority of the nephroscope has a working length of 22 centimeter. Only Stowe's 17 French nephroscope has a 25 centimeter working length. So the limiting factor is nephroscope, not the sheath. Whatever length. So if you want a longer sheath, you need to use a ureteroscope, short ureteroscope instead of a nephroscope. Then you can use. So it is available. Why URS not attempted in this case? It's a very relevant question. When the stone size is bigger, it is always better to pick up from below because the system was inflamed. And doing an RII in an inflamed system is always difficult. You have to put a stent, come out and complete the procedure, and it adds to a lot of cost. Here in one sitting, we were able to completely clear, and it is reasonable cost. So RIS can be done. Sir, do you use continuous irrigation from below? Yes, I always use a continuous irrigation. The moment the nephroscopy is started, I use a continuous irrigation. It would help in two ways. It will not allow the fragments to go down the ureter. If some fragment is going down the ureter, it will push the stone fragment back into the renal palace. And plus, whenever you want to clear the ureter, you can push it whenever the irrigation is less. Whenever there is an extra bleeding, you can add irrigation with a pressurized syringe. Otherwise, irrigation with a normal saline attached by gravity is more than enough. Rohit Upadhyay, how you created holes in ureteric catheter? This ureteric catheter, multiple ureteric catheter is ready-made available from Usha Enterprise, and it is in the first 10 centimeters, so that few holes are in the ureter and few holes are in the renal palace. It is available, and you don't need to create a hole. Any evidence of effect of low pressure on PC system mucosa? Does the patient have hematuria in post-operative period due to suction? Answer is no. If you are using a low pressure suction, there will not be an irrigation, there will not be a damage to the renal pelvic mucosa. But if you are using excessive suction pressure and no irrigation from below, yes, it does produce microscopic hematuria, and it's a mucosal bleeding, mucosal capillary bleeding does occur. So what is important is you reduce the suction pressure. Dr. Nitin Gadikal, can we plug the opening on sheath by left hand fingers? Why we need assistance? A very good question. When we are doing a lithotripsy, in one hand we have a nephroscope, and in second hand we have a pneumatic or a laser fiber. So we cannot have a third hand. And so the assistant is always there to hold the sheath. So she can put a finger, he or she can put a finger. Ravi. She can put a finger, and that's how. Now when we are not holding a pneumatic or a laser, then we don't need a second assistant to control the suction. It is controlled by the surgeon. So whosoever puts a finger there to close the opening, suction is activated. So when lithotripsy is not going on, the surgeon controls the system. When the lithotripsy is going on, it's the assistant who manages this suction. Ravi? Open that window. Anurag Gupta, sir, what is the price of sheath and suction tubing? You have to contact the Usha Enterprise. You can send me, I will send you the number, and you'll be able to get that price, because it is available in a set of 5. You can buy one individual piece, you can buy 3 piece, you can buy complete, you can buy with a suction. So there are a number of permutation combinations. So they will send you a quotation. I will forward your number to the company. Arvindan, which company Minipak nephroscope is better, Stowe's, Wolf or Olympus? This is a very good question. Stowe's, Wolf and Olympus, all three are wonderful nephroscope, Minipak nephroscope. The Stowe's nephroscope is used by me from a long time. It gives an excellent vision. It is round. It has a good channel. I have used Olympus also. It is a 7.5 French channel. So the amount of irrigation that can go through it can be good. It is slightly oblong also. So there is a more space by the side of the sheath, by the side of nephroscope for that fragments to come out. It is also sturdy, and Wolf nephroscope is also good. So whosoever supplies you cheaper with better services can work it out well. Large means what size of ureteric catheter? Very good questions. Large meaning you can use 7 French ureteric catheter, so that the amount of fluid that can come out from the lower, from kidney to the ureter and the outside, especially in micro-pug, is this. But if you are using after pushing the stone up, then you can use even 10 French also. Any ureteric dilators you can put it so that the stone doesn't go down the ureter. So in micro-pug, the aim is that it should drain the fluid that is going through the sheath. In a ureteric stone, the aim is that stone doesn't go down the ureter. Do we need more irrigation fluid compared to regular PCNL? I think answer is no. Because see, whatever fluid is going, we are sucking. It doesn't have any effect on the speed with which the fluid enters the PC system. So, and if we are taking out the stone, the amount of time required to complete the procedure is low, and therefore the chances that you will use less irrigation is more. So in initial phase, it might happen that you think that the more irrigation fluid is required, but my experience is that we do not. Dr. Arvind is asking question, should we buy all dilator with all sheets? My answer is yes, because you don't know which tract size you want to do. Some patients need 12 French, some patients need 24, some patients 18. So depends, and it is very cheap. It is not something extraordinary costly, but it will give you a complete freedom. It will completely replace your whatever employer sheets you are using, either mini-pug sheet or whatever sheet you are using. And it is autoclavable also. You can reuse again and again, and therefore it is a very cost-effective. If you buy the complete thing, you will have more freedom. Dr. Rajkumar Sharma, which company supplies short ureteroscope? Wolf, actually, when I started this study, Wolf was not supplying short ureteroscope at that time. They specially imported for the first time in India a short ureteroscope. They gave me at a special price also because it was a part of the research project. So far they were supplying, but I came to know recently that they because the volume of short ureteroscope is less, and therefore probably they have stopped supplying. But you can ask the company who is supplying that short ureteroscope. And if you insist, they'll import for you at a almost same cost rather than any additional cost. Dr. Nitin Gadgil, why you have term super perk? Very good question. When I was using this technique, I had an issue. What name to give? Should I give a name or not? Because micro-pug, UMP, mini-pug was limited to this. It was encompassing the size of the tract which we are using. But I wanted that this is not restricted to size. So the nomenclature which tells the size of the tract, there was no choice. And then suddenly I realized that this is a superior version of the PCNL. It's a PCNL, but it's superior version, and therefore the word came as super perk. Who is the supplier of this product? Is an Usha Enterprise who is supplying this product? Dr. Manish Kumar. I am more comfortable with IVP than CT scan, where I am doing, whether I am doing some injustice. It's a choice of a surgeon. To me, I have stopped doing IVP for 3-4 reasons. One, that it instills the contrast, and therefore there is a risk of anaphylactic reactions, contrast media reactions. The anesthetist has to call, the radiologist has to call the anesthetist. Plus they use a lot of bells, so there is a lot of patient uncomfortable also. Plus you do not get an information about the surrounding organs. So my take is that I do sonography myself to see whether the size is very good, and if I do not have any issue about the function of the kidney, CT-QV plane gives enough information for me to decide, and I run the CD of CT scan. So I can come to know which is the posterior calyx, which are the organs coming in a way. So CT gives much more extra information which the IVP is not giving. But whatever way you are comfortable, you should do. But if you are getting an IVP, you take a picture in an oblique view so that you can come to know which is the posterior calyx, which is the anterior calyx. In CT urography, if you do CT urography and then 3D reconstruction, you can rotate and find out which are posterior calyx, which are bigger, which are smaller. Of course, it increases the cost, but the planning of PCNL can be much better if you do yourself, manipulate the picture, rotate the 3D images, and then you can say, okay, yes, this is the calyx you want to puncture, and you can identify exactly the same calyx in the OT. So in initial phase, it might be easier if you do a CT urography yourself. Vijay Kumar, thank you very much. He is wishing me good luck. Sir, compare Super Mini Perk with Mini, Ultra Mini, Micro. See, the aim of this is not comparing whether this is better or this is better. The idea of starting was that we wanted to add the value to Mini Perk. See, if you are using the vacuum cleaner effect is always there. Plus we are adding a suction. So no disadvantage, there is no disadvantage of using this technique. There is all advantage, and therefore it is always Ultra Mini PCNL. What is the issue? That you cannot use UMP sheet with a Super Perk. So you cannot compare, really. The question is, okay, what is the setting for Super Perk? The setting for Super Perk is no different than the conventional PCNL or a Super Mini Perk or UMP. It depends on the track size which you are making. So if you are using a 12 French track size, you should aim for a dusting or a fine fragmentation. If you are planning for a 15 French sheet, your aim is fragmentation. So the laser setting, which I normally use 1 watt and 10 frequency, sometimes I have to increase the energy and increase the frequency depending upon how hard the stone is. Good questions. So I think I have answered a lot of questions. Okay, I am able to see. Okay, I got a lot more questions. Can you explain about the multiple ureteric catheter that I have already answered? To use specific, I answered. Can we speak? Yes, you can always contact me whenever you need. Sheet. Where can we get the sheet? I had answered the questions. Yes, I am going from below. Please forward my number to Usha Enterprise. Okay. Any suggestion for post-operative DJ removal? Now, my preference is giving the ureteric catheter, and it can drain well. Otherwise, do a double test, do a X-ray, KOV, or a sonography or CT scan, depending upon what you want. And after this complete stone clearance is there, only you remove the double test stent. So usual period is between 1 week to 3 weeks. I remove all the DJ stents. Also, it depends on whether the what was the ureteric, whether there was an impacted ureteric stone and the mucosa was inflamed. If it is there, I might keep for 3-4 weeks more. So it depends on the reason of putting a double test stent. How many cases one sheet is recommended? This sheet you can use it again and again. I mean, it's a very sturdy sheet. So it depends on how you care for it. But otherwise, practically there is nothing which you can do. How you push irrigation from below. See, ureteric catheter is always coming with one adapter. Or you can, if it is a 6 French ureteric catheter, take a 8 French feeding tube, cut all the holes, and it fits very well. And the other end of the infant feeding tube, you can attach any suction, IV set, 50 ml syringe, 20 ml syringe, or a normal irrigation. That's how you can push the irrigation from below. Yes, you can reuse the sheet. Yes, you can do ETO, you can do a plasma spread also. You can put it in a SADX or whatever method, Paracet, you can reuse this. It is meant for reuse. Which size nephroscope for 12 French sheet? Very important question for 12 French nephroscope. If you are doing as a second track, you can use a 12 French nephroscope of a source because you don't need to fluid to come out through that track. So in such cases, you can use a 12 French. But if it is a standalone sheet, then either you have to use a Minipuck SX or a UMP telescope or a Micropuck or 4.5, 6.5 French Wolf ureteroscope or any ureteroscope which has a shaft of not more than 8 or 9 French. 4.5, 6.5 French ureteroscope has a shaft of around 8 or 9 French. So you need to take into consideration. Thank you very much. Irrigation is from both ureteric catheter and nephroscope. Yes. So Stegon calculus can be dealt with Superpuck. Yes. Actually, I had made a slide. I had done a 6-track PCNR for I had shown you that we can do. I think we have shown you that the one patient NRI had came and I had to do in 2 staging and 6-track PCNR. So you can always do the number of track decided by the accessibility of the stone from a particular. If it is not possible, it is better to do a small puncture and put the stone into the renal pelvis or take it out from that. So it depends on the number of track, depends on the accessibility from the primary track. I'll share the contact details of Usha Enterprise. You, what's the number? Usha Enterprise. Do we need CT all straightforward PCNL? Can we do with IVP alone? Yes, you can do with IVP alone. You don't need a CT unless you see in a sonography that there is some other adjacent organs are coming in a way. Otherwise, IVP is more than enough. So far, except from last 4-5 years, all these years I used to do IVP only, and it was giving a very good results. 1 to 9 slides did not get properly. Okay. So I'll go from 1 to 9. Okay. Okay. So 1 to 9 slide was primarily how to plan. So 1 to 9, Dr. Ramamurthy. It was the first. It was primarily the introduction, and the most important part was this slide 5th. Okay, what are the aims and why PCNL is preferred in our country, and how to remove. So, what are the advances that has come up, and preparation. So, practically there is nothing much you are losing from 1 to 9 slide. My mobile number is 98980-33900. The Usha Enterprise phone number is, you can record if you want, 99250-32278. I am repeating, 99250-32278. And the email is ushaenterprise92@gmail.com. ushaenterprise92@gmail.com. Superpuck sheet size. Superpuck sheet size is 12, 15, 18, 21 and 24. Initially I was doing only up to 18, but then lot of urologists who are practicing in periphery and doing a big stone bulk, they said that why can't you offer a benefit of suction in a large tract size also. So I extended to 21 and 24 French sheet, and I do not want any, and I do not have a desire to increase the sheet size. With 24, you can completely remove all the Stegon stones also. So maximum size is 24. Can central suction be used for this? Yes, you can use central suction, provided you have a mechanism to reduce the suction pressure. So almost all suction machine that is coming in central has that knob, so you can very well use that central suction. I had mentioned about the cost and availability. Does it require a separate low power suction? I think yes. It doesn't cost. It costs 5,000-10,000 rupees, less than the cost of a URS excess sheet. Why it is low pressure suction is important, that your routine suction machine, they may have set for different category, and if you fail to reduce that suction during a PCNL, there might be very excessive suction going on, and so you have to be very careful and set the suction every time you are using it. Show the puncture technique. See, puncture technique I had purposely not mentioned here because it's a big topic in itself, but I can say you that within short time I am going to come up with another technique, another instruments, so that you can accurately puncture in 1 or 2 go. For that you might have to wait for 1 or 2 months, and it is possible that I'll be able to develop well because I have now a lot of time. Thank you very much, Dr. Arvind. Percusec, Fox, you, a proper name maybe? Yeah, thank you so much. Should be by all dilator with all yes. Contact number, Stegon calculus with yes. And there are some more questions. Puncture technique I had discussed. I think for a puncture technique, I'll have a separate webcast for it, or whenever we will be discussing, because it was in itself is a big topic. It is better that you attend one of the courses of doing a puncture, or you can contact me personally, and I'll be able to tell you how you can go ahead with the puncture technique. I think if there are no more questions. Hello, Puneet.
Yes, sir.
Pardon? You can contact me on my number 98980-33900. In fact, I developed this technique so that all people who are doing PCNL get a master in this, and therefore it reduces the time, it increases the comfort of the surgeon, it reduces the cost, recurrent cost, reduces the complication. I want every one of you to start using it. If there is any problem anywhere, you are always welcome. Yes. The another reason I am not able to discuss puncture technique is that it requires a lot of diagrams or the separate presentations, and therefore I am not able to say. So if there are no more questions, I thank the CIPLA, Urology, Prajakta Madam, Puneet, and all of you who have patiently heard and put a lot of questions to me, which has covered almost all the questions. Any more questions, Puneet? Hello? So I think it is already, what is the time? It's we have been able to finish 10 minutes earlier. It was 4:30 to 5, so we have exceeded 19 minutes, right? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. I hope.
So thank you, sir, for taking the time.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for taking the time to speak to us today, and it was indeed a great talk, sir, and will surely help to enhance the skills of practitioners.
Yeah.
And sir has already solved all the queries from the audience, and with that, we will conclude this session. Thank you, sir. Thank you, audience. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.